for the world whose slogan declares, "You will own nothing, and you will be happy." No, I didn't make that up, but it's in my book, Climate Golf. That comes to you from the World Economic Forum. It's available now at Amazon.com. Thanks for your support. So, Haley out, Trump in, and Biden out of his mind. The Dems are telling us today that they have the border handled. And they're telling us that the border policy over the last 3 years makes Trump's border policy look pathetic. Hey, listen, I want to tell you something. I was in the car today for 6 hours driving. Driving over the Sierra to my place in Nevada. I had a lot of time to listen to the radio. So I was actually listening to Sirius XM. So I was going back and forth between a few different channels, including Fox News. I'm not a big fan of Fox News. I lost respect for the operation during that last election. After I was watching the results come in, lost a lot of respect for them. But I did surprisingly listen to them today, and not a lot's changed there. But nonetheless, they had some libbies on. We're talking up Trump's border policy. They said, no. Trump's policy? The wall? He never finished the wall. Trump's policy? And they just went on and on trashing Trump's policy, literally saying that Biden's policy is better. Literally trying to make people believe that Biden's policy is better. And then they went into this tit for tat on age. I guess what? Biden's 81 and Trump's 78. Oh, they're both old. They're the same age. No, they're not the same age. They're trying to make us believe that Joe Biden is healthy as a horse. They're trying to make us believe there's no cognitive problem. And anybody who expresses a concern regarding his cognitive situation is mean-spirited. That's what they're telling us. Listen, I don't know what the problem is with Joe, but quite frankly,
red light camera.
Whenever anybody's cognitively impaired, I don't make fun of them. I think it's very sad. And therefore, shame on the Democratic Party for continuing to push this guy forward. He should not be, he's not capable of this kind of work. It requires public appearances. It requires being able to think on your feet. It requires being able to make snap decisions. And Mr. Biden's not capable of that. And it's just a shame that his party continues to put him forward. Now, I don't know who's called the shots in the White House. I really don't. I couldn't even tell you that. None of us do. But whoever it is does not have America's best interest in mind. They don't believe in the natural rights of life, liberty, and property. Why? Because they don't believe in natural rights. They don't believe that God gives anybody rights. I had a conversation this weekend. I was speaking at a Christian men's retreat associated with a wonderful peninsula, Church of the Highlands. And we were meeting at Mount Hermon, beautiful place in the Santa Cruz Mountains, Christian conference ground. And I was one of the speakers. And you know who was the other speaker? It was really fun. Dr. History. Remember Dr. Charlie Self? He was my very first guest on KSFO, and he was a weekly guest for 20 years. So it's Charlie Self and yours truly. There was a guy in this church, a wonderful, wonderful guy. He's originally from China. He's been in the United States for 16 years. You know, China is a communist country. I know the Democrats don't like to admit that, but it's a communist country. And you know what they do with Christians, right? They persecute them. This gentleman who is he has a PhD and he works for a tech company. He told me that in China there is no societal benefit for being a Christian. He said, in fact, there's a societal negative for being a Christian, because if you are a Christian in China, you will be Christian. You will be Christian. And I think to myself, of all the politicians in the United States who around election time love to pretend like a Christian. Shame, isn't it? Fake Christian. Fake Christian. That's what this guy called them. You know, a lot of fake Christians. talking about God, and they all start talking about the Bible. Now, I can't judge their hearts. I don't know whether they really are or not, but I just find it interesting that in other settings, they hardly seem like Christians at all. But getting back to the natural rights, when you start talking about natural, God-given rights, you know, there are people on both sides of the aisle that roll their eyes when you say that. It's like, oh, God, you're another one of those. Another one. Yeah, guess what? I have another of those. Our country was founded on a bunch of those. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. God-given rights. Everyone has the right to life. That's why some of us are so passionate against abortion, which they now call reproductive rights, which is crap. We're also passionate about property rights. That's the pursuit of happiness. Property rights, espoused by our founders, did not include progressive taxes, did not include property taxes, did not include capital gains taxes. But that's where we are today. You see, our property is at risk. Being consumed by a monster. You know what that monster is? The federal government, the state government. Gosh, California, top tier income tax bracket, 13%. Ridiculous. And what do they spend it on? This state had a surplus just a couple years ago. Now we're running a deficit. Why? Because they spend, daddy, spend. Spend all of our money. And it's a one-party state, and the Republicans can do squat. There just aren't enough of us, especially in the Bay Area. People are ruining this state, and that's why so many are leaving. And as they leave the state, guess what happens? People are taking their money with them, taking jobs with them. This state's in trouble. The Republicans understand that. There just aren't enough of them to make a difference. That's why this coming election matters. I look at Steve Garvey versus Adam Schiff. Come on, we have to get Garvey in the Senate. That would be huge. Now, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. It is possible. People like Steve Garvey. Adam Schiff is a very unlikable person. We've got to do our part. We've got to do our thing. We've got to make sure. But in the other 49 states, that Joe Biden did not rule today. Daily out, Trump in. And they're telling us today that they have the border. Brian Dustin, by the way, Brian Dustin. Thanks to Steve Moskowitz for sponsoring this hour. We do appreciate that. But can I just talk to you about the border? Because as I was listening to Fox News today, driving, they had some Libby on there from one of these panels who was telling us that Joe Biden is tough on the border. The Dems are tough on the border. The problem is, Republicans wouldn't support the latest border bill. You know why they wouldn't support the latest border bill? It's because back when I was hosting the morning show, we used to call it a crap sandwich. The Democrats were telling us today that it's the toughest, most efficient, most effective border security bill this country's ever seen, and yet there were hundreds of billions of dollars earmarked for other stuff that had nothing to do with the border. There was money that was going to go to Ukraine. By the way, Trump was right. We pay our fair share into NATO, the other countries don't. Oh, we'll fact check that. Go ahead. Boy, I'm just in an honorary mood. President Joe Biden is defending his migration policies, claiming the Republicans sabotaged a win for the people, his words, when they rejected the Senate leader's border bill. This is what he said in Texas. Joe Biden said, you know and I know, it's the toughest. You know and I know. No, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know, and quite frankly, you don't know. How many pages was the bill, Mr. President? He would have no idea. You know and I know it's the toughest, most efficient, most effective border security bill this country's ever seen. So instead of playing politics with the issue, why don't we just get together and get it done? Oh, yes. Unity. calls for unity, as always. Here is Chris Murphy, Democrat senator from Connecticut. He's telling this to CBS News over the weekend. It's the toughest border reform bill, the toughest border security bill in decades. See, they lied. You know why they lied? You know why they lied? Because they don't believe in God. You don't believe in God? Lie all you want. What are the consequences? This message is being hammered into voters by the Biden-friendly media outlets and social media outlets. NPR, Google, New York Times, Washington Post. It's all over the place. I mean, if you look at the bill, the complex legal jargon in the bill that had nothing to do with Ukraine or climate change, it minimized border barriers. It mandated catch and release for migrants. It protected Biden's parole backdoor for wage-cutting employers. It even created an asylum highway overseen by stakeholders, basically. He said it would give me, as president, new emergency authority to shut down the border when it becomes overwhelmed. Well, you heard how that worked, right? On days when there are over 5,000 people coming across the border, we'll shut it down. So any excess above 5 will go into timeout. And then once the numbers decrease once again, everybody keeps coming in. Oh, 5,000, okay. All the rest of you, timeout. Don't worry, you'll get your shot. Hold on. In the meantime, backpacks are over there, iPhones are over there, new clothes are over there, haircuts are over there, there's food truck over there. Okay, it's all good. Oh, we're down below the 5,000 mark. Come on in, everybody. This is what they're doing to us, friends. And they tell us that this is a tough border bill. You know what?
I'll talk about several other things, good and bad, that happen 2021 Officer Kevin Parker report. Convict wrestler Earl Hannah Gutierrez of involuntary manslaughter in connection with a shooting death off the movie Cinematographer. One of the officers from the line of fire was active all ball. They got out of their country back in 2021. He fired 2 guys.